everyone. Welcome to this week's Karma Cards. I'm so glad to have you here. Well, we're still in the healing cycle. The messages are still around healing. And this week, the team wants to highlight that healing one area of your life has that rippling effect out to all areas of your life. So during times of stress and overwhelm, it's easy to sort of compartmentalize. We do that, right, in fight or flight. When we have our fight or flight mechanism activated, we compartmentalize so that we can keep sane, right? So that we can keep focusing and trying to get things done. And again, that is a survival mechanism so that we can handle whatever's put in front of us. However, it can lead us to believe that everything is compartmentalized, which isn't true. It's all connected together. And one of the ways that my team was showing me this today was to have me focus on the nervous system in the body and how one of our major nerves, the vagus nerve, it starts in your brain and it goes through and pretty much affects every single organ in your body. And one little compression or irritation or even infection to that nerve can cause, it can have a ripple effect of different consequences inside the body just from one area. So by identifying an area that feels out of whack, whether it's in your body or in your life, and focusing on healing that area, know that it's all interconnected and it starts to heal other areas of your life. So the message this week is just, you don't have to bite off more than you can chew. You don't have to try and tackle everything. Remember, last week they warned us of overworking the process. So part of how we can hold the process and just be with it is recognizing that where I put my energy of healing in any area of my life will start to have a ripple effect out into all the different areas of my life. Some will be closer and therefore the connection will be more obvious and the results will be visible. And other areas are further out. And so the ripples may be smaller, but it still has that effect. So we're just wanting to acknowledge this week that it's all connected. It's all connected. And that a little bit of attention and effort put in whatever area feels the easiest for you to access is going to create a wave of healing in your entire life. And then I wanted to share with you something interesting that I was listening to today. So I love to listen to audiobooks while I do housework or while I'm, just doing busy work. I make jewelry, so I like to sit there and listen to audiobooks. And I was listening to a Dolores Cannon book today, and they were talking about the phenomenon of crop circles. And what struck me about it is that crop circles, the phenomena of crop circles, back in the 80s when they were really cropping up, people were freaked out. They didn't know what it was. It was, was it a machine doing it? Was it pranksters? Was it aliens? What was creating these crop circles? But as time moved forward, people started recognizing that whatever the force creating it, that they were benevolent messages, and the more refined the energy on the planet becomes, the more we understand what we are looking at. Okay, so the first thing is they're benevolent, and now people understand that. However, not everybody has the same experience when encountering a crop circle. Now, I don't know if there are any active crop circles at this time, and I believe that this book was, I think, written in the early 90s or in the 90s. So I don't know if there are any active circles at this time, but what was interesting is that some people go into the circle and they have a similar experience as if they were going into a sacred site, right? They have an elevated emotion, elevated feelings, they get a deep sensation of a highly spiritual place. And some people, and just like at sacred sites as well, they come into it and they start to feel a little nauseous, a little queasy. It doesn't feel so great. And something about it just doesn't jive with them. And it got me thinking about connecting that to our own healing processes. because the answer that they got about, well, why was that happening? Why is it that one person can stand in one of these areas and feel complete bliss and another person feels sick to their stomach? And they said that it had nothing to do with the circle itself. The circle holds the same energy. The sacred site holds a consistent energy. It had to do with how lined up that person was energetically in themselves to that energy. And so in relation to the energy. And so those who had passed through certain layers of refinement had a more tuned up energy going into the circle felt great. Those who had some work to do in terms of energy didn't feel so great. It was like too much for them to take. And it just got me thinking about, the time period we're in now where we're getting this heightened solar flux energy. Now, I don't know about you watching it, and I would love it if you would leave comments in this video and let me know your take. But I noticed that my reactions to this solar influx of energy were particularly strong in a kind of negative way. Like I noticed a lot of negative associations like nausea, hard time sleeping, headaches, really bad ear ringing. Sometimes I felt like I was having vertigo. Those were really strong for me around 2015, 16, 17. Like in those years, it was really ramping up and intense for me. And after I started seeing the pattern, realizing what it was, I began to feel okay with it. Like I just accepted, oh, those are ascension symptoms and that's what it feels like. Now, though, after allowing enough of that through and really kind of opening myself up and asking for it and being in a space for it, the energy is much more easily tuned. Like I don't really feel those spikes and dips as much anymore. I'm not saying I don't feel it at all, but I feel more attuned to it. Like I feel instead of like being pulled under the wave, I'm riding on top of the wave now. And so I just wanted to put that out there in terms of both ascension and personal healing. That frequencies that are benevolent, or they're high frequencies, or they're higher levels of consciousness, they're consistently beneficial, consistently positive, consistently beneficial. Nothing changes about that. What's interesting is that it's where we're at in our own energy, whether we can ride the wave or we sort of get pulled under by it, if that makes sense. And I think that our personal healing journeys can do that too. And it's so easy to decide when something doesn't feel good that this is somehow wrong. And that's really tricky because we do want to follow what our body's telling us. We want to follow what our heart's telling us. So we have to practice that discernment and understand that there is, just like with working out, there's good pain and bad pain, right? The good pain is, you recognize it when you're stretching those muscles and you're pushing yourself, but in an appropriate way. The bad pain is when obviously we experience an injury where we've pushed ourselves too far. So it's the same with these energy dynamics, the higher energy, the higher consciousness. It can be a good type of pain, like a stretching pain. And then, of course, we're looking for when we push too far. So we want to look at, instead of deciding anything about our healing journey as good or bad, we want to maybe recognize it as when it's beneficial and when it's clearly not. So I definitely would check in with your physical body. The physical body might say pain, I have nausea, I have discomfort, but the heart might say, I actually feel really solid and good right now. I feel the energy of this direction is the right way to go, even though it feels physically challenging. When it comes to energy, we want to look at not only, we want to assess the body. If the body's like, oh, I feel nauseous, or I feel exhausted, like I can't sleep, but I also feel in my heart, I feel grounded, or I feel steady. Like I know that life is good. I can tell things are moving in the right direction, even if I'm going through discomfort. That's when we know that we're maybe in a part of our own healing process that's dismantling, which is always uncomfortable, but that we're moving in the right direction. If you're having, if you're going through a healing process and or like an ascension cycle, and your body is telling you there's pain and discomfort here, and then the heart is also reporting, I feel blocked, closed off, small, I'm nervous, I'm scared, right? Then you know this is some kind of negative influence. Then you know that this is not for your highest good and that you need to back off. You need to pull back. So we want to check in. We just want to check in with ourselves because many times when we go through healing, we have to go through pain. Many times what keeps us out of homeostasis, that whole feeling state, is, the thing that hasn't been healed yet, which is painful and uncomfortable to go through. And in order to heal it, you have to go through it. And a great visual for that is going through the ring of fire, right? So if you saw a ring of fire and you knew if you could get through it on the other side of that, things are better, but the only way is through, then yes, it would hurt to walk through that. I'm sure you've heard of the phrase, you have to feel it to heal it, which means that the pain that we have avoided in the past will and must be addressed and moved through in order for us to fully heal and become whole. Not fun. Sometimes it really sucks. Sometimes it makes the day suck. Sometimes it can make an entire week suck. But as you recognize that even though I'm in a state of discomfort, I also feel relief, right? Like going through that pain, finally addressing it, it takes that weight off of you that's been keeping your frequency down just that little bit. And then the next time that you've gone through that completely and you've allowed yourself to transmute that pain, then when these higher frequencies come in, they don't have as strong of an effect on you because you've already refined your energy and naturally lifted up your frequency a little bit higher. So again, the message today and for this week is really this understanding that compartmentalization comes as a survival skill, just so we can get through things. But in order to heal, we have to recognize it's all connected. And there's a beauty in that, because if it's all connected, then healing one area really does have an effect on the other areas of your life. And that just because it feels uncomfortable or even painful doesn't necessarily mean that it is negative. Remember, there's good pain and then there's injury. So we're just trying to pay attention to the kind of pain that we're in and treat ourselves accordingly. And with that, I want to do karma cards with you for this week. If you're new to karma cards, let me quickly show you how this works. I have 3 decks here, the planets, signs of the zodiac, and the houses of astrology. And I've already asked my team in spirit, what is the message you have for us this week? And I get 2 sets of answers, one in red, which is action, and one in blue, which is outcome. And the way that you play is you tune in to yourself intuitively and ask, what type of message do I need this week? Do I need action-related answers? Or do I want outcome-related answers for what's happening in the next week? Or you can choose both, which many people love to do. And like I say, I always feel like these work in tandem anyway. Timing for this reading is today, April 21st through April 28th. And while you're intuitively choosing what kind of reading you want, let me tell you the flavor of this reading. So we have the planet Mars, which is going to be all about taking some kind of action, in the steady earthy sign of Virgo, which is going to be having us focus on how we're of service as well as how we're taking care of ourselves. In the 5th house of the fun house, it's the fun house, the 5th house of creativity, fun, and romance. So let's see what they say. Okay, so for those choosing action, your spiritual action at this time is to energize the serving of others with the trust of a child. Energize the serving of others with the trust of a child. I love this. So the serving of others is also related to the positive polarity of service to others. And the message during this time is it's still about you, it's still about your healing, and it's still about making a choice in polarity. And I know that there's a lot of kind of battle weary people right now. Everybody's kind of feeling worn out by everything that's going on. And they're not trusting, like if you've been taking time to, send love, compassion, forgiveness, understanding to others, and you feel like I'm not seeing a payoff here. I'm not seeing that make any change. I'm putting extra love out. I'm praying more. I'm meditating more. I am really trying to stay present and mindful and hold a certain type of frequency. And I'm not sure if this is doing anything. Like, is it doing anything? The answer here is trust it is, right? So with the trust of a child, and I love this phrase so much. It comes from the 5th house. Kids go all in with trust. If they trust something, they trust it. Right? If they trust in Santa Claus, they trust it. If they trust something's going to happen, they trust it. They don't have proof. They just decide this is happening. So they're saying energize that feeling. Understand that what you're doing that puts positive, loving energy out in the world absolutely has an effect. We got to check ourselves for expectation. I think that's what really does us in, is I'm putting it out there with this expectation that I'll get X, Y, or Z. And, you can make a decision about what you want, but you also got to let that go, and you got to go all in with the energy. So that's the first message here. Confront the details of fun, romance, and making art. I love this. It starts so serious, like confront the details of love, romance, and making art. So, yeah, and I feel like when we are in a state of being kind of spiritually weary, like I'm doing everything I can, I'm following all the actions that I feel I should, and I'm not sure if anything's happening. Well, that just kind of sucks the fun, and joy out of life, right? Sucks it right out. So it's easy to kind of push the lighter stuff aside when everything feels so heavy. And yet it's the antidote. It's the antidote to the heaviness is the lighter side of life. Because it will reinvigorate you. It revives you. It'll bring you back to life. And if you feel like you're having a hard time getting to it, it's not just the emotional state. It's like, I don't have the energy. I don't know, the things that I did for fun. It feels too complicated, or I'm stopped in some way. I can't have the fun that I normally would have. We're being asked to confront what you think what is it, you're tongue-tied, because we've got to confront our preconceived notions about how things can happen, right? We get so used to our patterns that when there's a pattern disrupt, we can often feel like, well, that's done, right? Something disrupted my normal pattern and how I do things, so now that's over. Is the question. Challenge yourself to look at the beliefs you're holding around situations. Are you focusing more on problems, which is blocking your ability to experience the lightness of life? Or are you understanding that, yeah, life's going to throw you some shit sometimes. Can you adapt? Is it really, are you really blocked? Can you find another way around it, right? So just like when you take a cheese from a mouse in a maze and you move the cheese, yeah, the mouse might panic for a bit and be like, where the heck is my cheese? But some of those mice are going to get smart and adapt and go find the freaking cheese, right? So it's still there. So this is kind of like, if someone moved your fun and it feels like I can't get to it now, I can't get to the joy of it now, are you adapting? Or are you kind of sitting there kind of in the problem. Well, they took it and they moved it and they changed it and now, right? Or are you going to be like, okay, that sucks. I'm going to adapt. I'm going to go this way. I have a way in. I always feel like we have those choices, even if they feel like they're not too easy to see. It's usually the mindset that we're stuck in that keeps us from being able to see it. So we're being asked to challenge ourselves and challenge our own beliefs. Physical action. Force yourself to do what you must and do it dramatically. Oh man, whenever these kind of sentences come up in these things, I'm always like, it's such a dramatic sentence on its own. I'll say it again. Force yourself to do what you must and do it dramatically. So going back to the theme of the house, that's always a good place to start. The do it dramatically, that comes from the fifth house. The fifth house is the fun house. It loves the drama. It loves the flair. It's ruled by Leo. So all of that, big dramatic energy is there. But it's in regards to fun and creation. Fun, love, romance, making art, making anything that brings you joy, playing, right? Get yourself to do it. Do what you must, right? Find the way into the lighter aspects. And I mean that joyful, playful energy is the remedy right now. And I promise you, for a little while, the world's just going to keep bringing us more shit. More shit. Here's some more shit. And I feel like the opportunity here is to continue to choose to see that there is lightness available, right? It only when we stop deciding that we can have love, fun, romance, playfulness, beauty, only when we decide that that's not available anymore will it be unavailable. So, and because it's an individual choice, you might not see it where someone else does. So they're asking you to kind of kick your own butt in gear to see it again. If it feels blocked, if you're in it, keep going. Like, enjoy that and spread that beautiful energy out into the world, because the world needs it, wants it, and is thirsty for it. So thirsty. But if you find that you're blocked to it, challenge your point of view. Ask yourself, am I focused on problem or solution? Because you can't focus on both at the same time. And if you can catch where you're holding yourself back, then you're being asked to take brave action and flip that around. Okay, so let's go into outcomes. For those who are choosing outcomes in Mars in Virgo in the fifth house, the play house, the fun house, your spiritual outcome is the drive for methods for the healing power of the power of love. Let me say that again. It's a little redundant, but it's good. The drive for methods for the healing power of the power of love. Pretty big. So as you reactivate that lighter energy, as you let yourself play and be in joy, and remember, if you want to beat the devil, if you want to break a dark system, laugh at it. The remedy, what really, so the devil card in the tarot represents an illusion of fear. And it's the shadow game and the illusion that keeps the people oppressed in it. That's how the devil works, is this oppression through illusion. And who's really oppressing the people in the card are the people. They're choosing to be oppressed. They choose to believe in the illusion, and so therefore they are oppressed. And the way to break the chains is to laugh at it. Laugh at the choices. Laugh at the absurdity of the extreme lengths darkness will go to crush your spirit, and recognize that if you can look it in the eye and laugh at it, it has no power over you. And this gives you the healing power of the power of love, right? Like every time the protagonist in a story recognizes their own power, it's like they burst forth into a new level. Your joy, your playfulness, and your laughter is the remedy to the dark. Because it's all an illusion anyway. Mental outcome at this time: the confronting of the analyzing of investments, gambles, and other games. So what I love about the fifth house is it reminds me of something very important, that it's like we can't forget. And because it's so easy to go, love is safe, love is cozy, and love is, it gives me security, I feel nurtured, and it does. Love does give you all those things, but to get those things, there is risk involved, right? You have to laugh at the devil in the tarot card. You have to face that ugly thing and laugh. There's a risk. What if this doesn't work? I mean, laughter, are you kidding me? This creepy, ghoulish creature, and you just want me to laugh at it? Right? It's a risk. Feels risky. But it's in that moment, and only when you take the risk will you know the reward. So again, we're being asked here to mentally confront the risks. And are we overanalyzing it? Do I overanalyze it? I am so guilty of this myself, by the way, so I get it. We overthink shit so much and overanalyze it. We make things scarier than they are. We actually are the ones that oppress ourselves more than any other system out there, because we agree to something based on our fear of risk, right? And the fear of risk has to do with a sense of survival. We have to learn how to understand that survival, the lack of not taking risks, does not guarantee safety. So being safe and not taking risks does not actually protect you. It just feels like it does. But eventually things will come find you. If you don't go out and risk venturing out, it will come to you. That's a guarantee. And so this card just reminds us that, we're being asked during this time period to really think about, where am I afraid to take a risk? Am I afraid to take this risk? What do I think is going to happen? Am I overthinking it? Do I have any proof of this? What am I basing that on? Right? So we're kind of analyzing the analyzing of risk, if that makes sense. So the confrontation is sort of, again, the word confrontation here comes from Mars, but it is that wake up. But this time it's you waking yourself up, like wake up from the illusion. Physical outcome at this time: action resulting from the perfectionism of your creations. Action resulting from the perfectionism of your creations. So you're a creator being. That's what you're here to do. This illusion, we are co-creating with each other. We have our own personal creations, and then we contribute to the collective creation, and we're co-creating with the universe all the time. And the beautiful thing is that, whether you take the opportunity to laugh at things or be playful or light or confront your fear of taking risks or not, whatever you do, it's perfect. I mean, the perfectionism of your creation, you choose what you choose and you will get a result. And honestly, if we take everything else we think we have to do out of the equation, the universe, source energy, God, the thing the universe is most interested in is information. Information lives forever. It lives within us cellularly. It lives within the speckles of elemental energy from stardust that falls in the sky. In your very cells is information. That's everything that the universe is. So whether you make choices that benefit you right now or don't, it's kind of like all good in the universe, because you're providing constant information. And in that way, no matter what the outcome of your experience in the eyes of Source is perfect. It's perfect. It's like, this is what Therese chooses here, and these are the results. And there's no judgment on what I've chosen, and there's no judgment of the results. It's all information, and it adds to the universal collective of information. So I say that I think that's kind of the perfect way to end this reading, because as much as the cards are encouraging us to go in a certain direction, it's 100% your choice, and whatever choice you make is the perfect choice. And to add to that, to kind of play paradox for a minute, these cards represent a certain flow that's happening right now. So if your desire is to be in a more of a flow, or to create more harmony, that is the intention of this reading, is to provide some information on a way you can get there. So whatever you choose, it's perfect and it's appreciated. And with that, before I forget, the full moon is coming up on Monday, April 26th. So if you'd like to join me, I'll put the link to my website right here. And you can come join us at the next Spirit Circle, where I will guide you not only through a full moon releasing ceremony, but we will also look at the cosmic flow. We'll do some release exercises together, and there's live psychic Q&A afterwards, and you get to keep the recording. So if that sounds good to you, visit my website and join us for the next full moon. Until next time, stay magical. Mwah. Thank you for watching. Subscribe now and hit the notification bell so that you know the next time I release a new video. Until then, stay magical.